Hey everyone, so today we are going to be making Abby Saja from the Saja Boys or K-pop Demon Hunters, as you can see here. So we've got the beanie, which we will attach on. You've got the hair, you've got the shirt, you've got the different sort of outlines here on that shirt, and then of course the denim jeans. And I will be changing a few of these colors up, but again, I will let you know exactly what I'm doing. So let's get straight into it. I hope you guys enjoy this one. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a thumbs up and a comment as well, and I will reply straight back to those as well. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so for the yarn, you're going to need some 4-ply cotton yarn in bright pink, then a normal color pink for the hair. Sorry, not for the hair, for the this part here on the shirt. As you can see here, I've used a different type of pink here, but I'm going to use a little bit of a darker one. And I'm going to use white this time for the shoes. Last time I used baby pink. So again, guys, this is completely up to you how you want to do this. I've used some denim blue. I'm also going to be using this mint green and a yellow for the beanie. Now here in this beanie, I use autumn yellow. So I'm just going to change it up slightly. But again, whatever colors you have that can match as best as possible to the actual character is more than fine. Now with my 4-ply cotton yarn, I am also using a 1.9mm hook, but feel free to use anywhere between a 1.75 and a 3mm hook for 4-ply cotton yarn, and it will work just great. Now of course, if you have your own type of yarn that you're used to with your own hook that you're also used to that corresponds to that yarn type, feel free to use that as well, because this pattern should be universal. So you will also need a sewing / leather needle, or perhaps a tapestry needle as well. These ones are the ones that I have right now. I've kind of lost my other ones, but I'll find them later. And then of course you might need some pins to pin down the hair or the beanie or things like that, just to help you along, but this is completely optional. And lastly, you will also need some 6 or 7mm black safety eyes as well, and those and of course fiber filling, because you'll need this to fill up the body and head with at the end. So guys, let's get straight into it and start making our Abby Saja Boy. So we are going to start off by making a magic ring in your denim blue colored yarn. And if you don't know how to make a magic ring, go check out my beginner crochet tutorial playlist. I have a bunch of videos there that you can learn a bunch of different techniques and come back and be able to complete any one of my tutorials. Once you've made your magic ring, you're going to work 6 single crochet stitches inside this magic ring. And first of all, I just want to let you know that I use the technique for a single crochet stitch of yarn under and then yarn over. So I'll show you again. So yarn comes underneath the hook first, and then the yarn goes over the hook second. And that technique is called yarn under, yarn over, or YU-YO. Now beginners usually do YO-YO, which just is yarn over, and I wouldn't really recommend that, but if you're so used to that, go ahead, no problem. But if you also know how to do yarn under, that would be fantastic as well. Amigurumi, for my preference, this is like a subjective opinion, I love the yarn under, yarn over technique, or the yarn under technique, and it just helps straighten out those stitches as well and keeps them nice and tight together. All right, so I have made, let's see, so I'm making another single crochet stitch. We have now worked 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochet stitches inside this magic ring. We have another 2 to go, 5, and here's number 6, just like that. Then I want you to pull this yarn tail from the magic ring until your magic ring closes up, just like that. And then from here, you can either decide to crochet in a spiral, which means you just continue working on, this would now be the beginning stitch of your second round, or you can finish each round with a slip stitch like that and chain 1, which is what I'm going to do, since this is a beginner tutorial and it may help. But if you do work in a spiral, you may just need to adjust the positioning of these arms as you get to it. Completely, again, up to you and how you do that, depending on your yarn tension and things like that as well. Okay, so we are now up to round number 2, and for round number 2, we are going to enter into the first stitch and make an increase. And an increase just means you make 2 single crochet stitches inside that 1 stitch space. So there we go, that's our first increase right here, and we are going to repeat that another 5 times, meaning we have 6 increases in total, giving us 12 stitches at the end of round 2. So I'll show you one more time. So you have 1 single crochet stitch, enter the hook into the same space, and make your second single crochet stitch, giving you that increase. So I've made 3 increases now. I have another 3 to go, and I will finish with a slip stitch and chain 1 at the end of round number 2. And round number 2 is now finished. Now for round number 3, we will do the following: single crochet stitch first, followed by an increase, 1 and 2. So I'll show you one more time: single crochet stitch first, followed by an increase, 1 and 2. And you are going to repeat that another 4 times, 6 in total from the very beginning. You will have 18 stitches at the end of round number 3. For round number 4, this is a different type of round, and I'm going to work through this with you step by step. So you're going to start off by crocheting 5 single crochet stitches. So here's number 2, here's number 3, number 4, and on the 5th one, you'll pull up the yarn, you'll have 2 loops on the hook, and then this is where we are going to change our yarn color to white or baby pink or whatever you feel. So pull that white colored yarn through to complete that 5th stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's here now that we are going to complete something called a spike bubble stitch. So normally you just come into here, right? That's where you're used to. But for a spike stitch, you want to go directly 1 round below this space right here. So you'd be entering right here instead. And because we are making a bubble stitch at the same time, you want to wrap the yarn. Then you come into this space right here. So wrap the yarn, come into that space right there, have those 2 yarn tails on top of the hook, pull the yarn through, and then pull the yarn through 2 loops on the hook, and you're left with 2 loops on the hook right there. And you're going to repeat that an additional 2 times. So wrap the yarn, come into the same space, have those 2 yarn tails over the hook. As you do that, pull up the yarn and make sure you're pulling it up, and then pull that yarn through 2 loops. You've got 3 loops on the hook right now. One more time, wrap the yarn, pull up the yarn, pull through 2 loops on the hook, and now you have 4 loops left on the hook, just like that. And this is where we will change our yarn color back to denim blue, and we pull it through all 4 loops on the hook, finishing your first spike bubble stitch, guys. Well done. Now for the next 5 single crochet stitches, you are going to do this in denim blue, but for the first one, I want that white colored yarn over the hook, so I'm just going to weave it in there for at least the first stitch, and that just keeps this bubble spike bubble stitch very secured. So I'm going to continue doing this now. This is my 2nd single crochet stitch, my 3rd, my 4th, and here's my 5th. And in the same way, I'm going to change my yarn color to white, pull that through, and here is where I'm going to make the 2nd foot, that spike bubble stitch. So I'm not coming here, I'm coming down here, and I'm wrapping the yarn and doing that. So pull up, pull through 2, and make sure you get through everything. Wrap the yarn, pull up again, and pull through 2. And again, make sure you get through all of that. So you've got 3 loops on the hook right now. I need 1 more round of wrapping, pulling up the yarn, and pulling through 2 loops on the hook. I now have 4 loops on the hook, as you can see here. I'm going to grab my yarn and pull through all 4 loops on the hook, sorry. And then for the remaining 6 single crochet stitches, I want that white yarn on top of on top of the hook for the first single crochet stitch in denim blue, at least for the first one. I might just do 2 to completely secure that in place. And then you can push the feet out. We're looking like this so far, which is fantastic. And then I have the remaining stitches in denim blue to go. So that's my 3rd, 4th, 5th, and here's the 6th one, just like that. And then I'm going to come into my first stitch, make a slip stitch, and chain 1. And again, if you're crocheting in a spiral, continue crocheting in that spiral. Okay, so 4th round is now complete. For the 5th round, super simple, we're working with denim blue colored yarn, and we're just going to make 18 single crochet stitches. And just by the way, to help my stitches become straight, as I'm pulling the yarn through the second time, I'm kind of moving my hook to a vertical position, and that just helps with straightening out those stitches as well, in case you needed a tip with that. So I'm going to continue all the way around, and on the last stitch, that's where I'm going to change my yarn color. So we're going to do that together. And here we are now. So I'm up to the 18th stitch in this 5th round. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to pull up a loop. You've got 2 loops on the hook, and this is where I will change my yarn color to our mint green. So I'm going to grab my mint green and pull that through those 2 loops on the hook. And now is the time I'm going to complete my slip stitch for those that are completing your slip stitch and chain 1s. So here we go. I'm going to pull this, make a slip stitch, and and by the way, I had these 2 yarn tails over the hook as I made that slip stitch, and chain 1. And this is the section where I'm going to chop off that white colored yarn, simply because we are no longer using it and it will just get in the way. So we're just going to leave it like that. And now for the next 3 rounds, this is rounds 6, 7, and 8. You're just going to be making 18 single crochet stitches for every round. And for the first couple, you'll just have that mint green and your denim blue on top of the hook, just for the first couple of stitches in the next round to secure it in place. And here's where I'm going to drop it off, and then continue on with my single crochet stitches, and we're going to complete this for the next 3 rounds. Again, that's rounds 6, 7, and 8. So at round number 9, we'll come back together and we will complete round number 9 together. Okay, so we are just finishing off round number 8, with a slip stitch and chain 1. And from here we're just going to make 8 single crochet stitches in your mint green. So we have 3 now. Here's number 4, 5, 6, 7. And if you're crocheting in a spiral, I just want to let you know that as we change the yarn color on stitch number 8 to complete it, if it's not quite centered up in the middle here with that color change so that you can do the next stitch with that next color, then adjust those stitches in the round to have it match up so that's in the center with that new color change. And I'll show you now. So we're going to change our yarn color on that 8th stitch to flesh pink. So here I have my flesh pink colored yarn. I'm going to pull that through on the 8th stitch. And then I'm going to grab those 2 yarn tails so I can secure them in the very next stitch. In this next stitch, I'm only going to be working in the back loop. So just the back loop. I want you to see that right there. So the back loop only, but have these 2 yarn tails over the hook as you complete this. Pull up a loop to have that single crochet stitch done, and then you will change back to your mint green to complete that 9th stitch, just like that. And make sure that that stitch is in the center of your feet. Okay, and then from here you're going to have that flesh pink yarn tail over the top of the hook for the next 1 or 2 stitches, and you'll complete the remaining round 9 stitches in mint green all the way now. So there are no more color changes in round number 9. So at the end of round number 9, we're going to come back together and then complete round number 10. We are at round number 10 now, and I'm just going to cut my denim blue off because we don't need that anymore. Okay, round number 9 includes a fair few color changes, but just with flesh pink and mint green, and we're going to do this together. And it also incorporates the arms. So again, if you crochet in a spiral, you may have to switch up the exact positioning of these arms, so just be wary of that. We're going to start off with 4 single crochet stitches. 1, 2, 3, and here's the 4th, where we now change to our flesh pink colored yarn. So grab that flesh pink and make sure you have enough slack left so that you're not pulling the body, and then you can weave in that yarn as you do the next stitch. Okay, so for this stitch, we are working the spike bubble stitch again. So we're not coming here. Instead, we're coming down here and we're wrapping that flesh pink colored yarn. You're coming into this stitch space, have those 2 yarn tails over the hook to secure it in place. Pull up the yarn and pull through 2. Do it again another 2 times. Wrap the yarn, pull up the yarn, and pull through 2. One more time, wrap the yarn, pull up the yarn, and pull through 2. 4 loops are now on the hook. You're going to change your yarn color back to your mint green and pull it all the way through, completing that first arm as you can see here. Then for the next 2 single crochet stitches, you'll be completing those in your lime green. Sorry, I keep saying lime, I meant mint, but we know what we're talking about. And then we're going to grab our flesh pink colored yarn on that second single crochet stitch in your green color and pull it through to change to flesh pink colored yarn. And now for the next 3 stitches, the first one is coming into the back loop only. So let me just show you that. Back loop only for the next stitch. Have that green colored yarn on top of the hook as you complete that stitch. Then you're coming and working in just the stitch space of the next stitch and you'll work another single crochet stitch, and then for the very next one the back loop again, and again have that mint green colored yarn on top of the hook as you complete that, and then you're actually going to change to this color as well. So changing back to your mint green colored yarn as you can see here. So we've got 3 in flesh pink, we've got 2 in mint green, we will have another 2 in mint green before we switch to our flesh pink colored yarn again. So you can see there are a lot of color changes right here. Okay, and then we are going to wrap the yarn, and from here we're going to perform our next spike bubble stitch. So not coming here, we've wrapped the yarn, we're coming straight down below, have that mint green on top of the yarn hook, and pull through 2 loops on the hook. Do it again, and we're going to repeat this one more time after this. Come here, pull up the yarn, pull through 4 loops on the hook, change back to your mint green, pull it through all 4 loops on the hook. We've just completed the second arm, fantastic. And now with the remaining 5 single crochet stitches, you are going to make single crochet stitches in your mint green colored yarn, and also have that flesh pink colored yarn on top of the hook just for the first few to keep it nice and secure. So there we go, 3, here's number 4, and here's number 5, and I ended up weaving that flesh pink all the way through, by the way. Okay, and now from here we'll make a slip stitch and chain 1. For round number 11 now we're going to do the following, and yes, there are a couple of color changes here as well. So we'll start off with a single crochet stitch, and then we will complete something known as an invisible crochet stitch or an invisible decrease. And this is what we do. You want to have the hook come through the front loop of the first stitch, and then immediately again into the front loop of the second. Pull the yarn through and pull the yarn through. So you've just made these 2 stitches now into one, and we did that using the invisible decrease technique. So we're going to do it again. Single crochet stitch first, followed by an invisible decrease, front loop, pull the yarn through. But here we are going to change our yarn color to flesh pink. So let's change that yarn color to flesh pink right there. Just make sure you had enough slack with that as well. I'm going to just kind of repeat mine so I can have a little bit more slack here. So here we go. And there we go. So now we're going to repeat this again. Single crochet stitch followed by invisible decrease, single crochet stitch followed by invisible decrease, and grab your mint green colored yarn at this point. Give yourself enough slack as well so that you're not changing the shape of your body. You can always weave in loose parts into the next stitches, as you'll see me do in just a moment. Just like that. And now coming into the next stitch space, you've got your mint green on top of the hook, so you're weaving it in just for at least one of those stitches to keep it in place. That you can see I've got a lot of slack yarn here. And then here, invisible decrease, front loop, pull the yarn through, and once more single crochet stitch first, front loop, pull the yarn through, and finally grab your flesh pink colored yarn change the yarn color to flesh pink, complete your slip stitch, having that flesh pink over the hook, slip stitch, and chain 1 to finish off round number 11 right there. And there we go. Oh, sorry, my hand's kind of not turning there. So there is our body so far, and now we are just about to begin the head. And for round number 12, you no longer need your green right here, so you can actually chop that off because you don't need it anymore and it will just get in the way. You will need it for the collar, but we'll get to that in a next section. But for this round number 12 here, you're just going to be working in those back loops only for this round. Single crochet stitch first. In the next stitch space of the back loop only, you will be working an increase 1, 2, just like that, and then you're going to repeat that pattern. So single plus the increase. I was about to say invisible decrease. So it's the increase there, and you will repeat this another 4 times, 6 times in total. You will have 18 stitches at the end of this round. And yes, even for the flesh pink part, you can work in those back loops as well. So single crochet first plus the increase right there. So I'll let you guys continue for round number 12 and then finish up, and we'll start with round 13 together. Okay, so for round number 13, very similar. You will just start off this time with 2 single crochet stitches and then an increase, 1 and 2. And yes, we are working in both those front and back loops as well, just as normal. So single crochet stitch first, another single crochet stitch followed by an increase, 1 and 2. And now I'll get you to repeat that pattern, guys, all the way around to finish round number 13. And that round is now complete. So now for the next 4 rounds, this is rounds 14, 15, 16, and 17. You will just be making 24 single crochet stitches. So 24 stitches in each round for the next 4 rounds. That's rounds 14, 15, 16, and 17. So let's come back at the end of round 17 to complete round number 18 together. Round number 18, so this is what we're going to do. We'll start off with a single crochet stitch followed by another single crochet stitch, and then we will make an invisible decrease. Front loop, pull the yarn through, and pull the yarn through. And this will be for the entire round of round number 18. As you can see, we finished those other 4 rounds right there. And you want to repeat this 6 times in total. Single, invisible decrease. You will have 18 stitches at the end of round number 18. We are now up to round number 19, and I'm going to continue on with this round, but if you feel like you want to add your eyes and your fiber filling, just fast forward a little bit, see how I do that, where they are placed, and then come back and complete round number 19. But for the rest of us, we're going to complete round number 19 right here. So we're going to start off with a single crochet stitch, followed by an invisible decrease. Front loop again, pull that yarn through and pull the yarn through. So once more, single crochet stitch first, followed by an invisible decrease like that. And at the end of round number 19, you will have 12 stitches in the round. And here I've just finished round number 19, and I've already done the slip stitch and chain 1, and I'm going to pull it out just a little bit, and that will help me not unravel it later on, just in case. And now is the time we are going to add the eyes and the fiber filling. So let's do that now. So as you can see, I have placed my eyes now in my head, technically, not my head, but this head, and we are putting those eyes between rounds 15 and rounds 16. So they're right in between rounds 15 and 16 there, and at least 2 stitch spaces apart. At least. It can also be like 1.5 or whatnot, but just as long as the eyes aren't too far wide apart, bring them as close together as possible, obviously, but not too close either. And once you've done that, secure them with those backs or whatever your safety eyes require. And now we are up to adding the fiber filling. So with the fiber filling at this point, you're just going to be adding it layer by layer, just in small quantities. And then as you push it in, you're going to use a pair of cutters or something that can help just condense it right at the bottom there and compress those layers together. But remember, you don't want to be adding this in bulk. You just want to be doing it layer by layer until you reach the very top, and use those pair of scissors to just compress it and condense it in place there. So I want you to continue that way all the way to the top, and then we will finish the next round together. And we're up to the last round now. So for this last round, we are going to be making decreases in basically every single stitch space. So here we're making this invisible decrease, front loop, pull the yarn through, pull the yarn through. Now if you did crochet in a spiral, you will only make 5 of these invisible decreases, and then in the very next stitch space you will make a slip stitch. For the rest of us, we are going to be making 6 invisible decreases. So that's my 4th right there. Here's my 5th. So those that crochet in a spiral, you'll make a slip stitch here. And for the rest of us, we will make the 6th invisible decrease, followed by a slip stitch and pulling the yarn through as if to chain 1, but this time cutting the yarn and leaving yourself around about a 15 centimeter yarn tail as well. All right, so we now need to close up this body to finish it off. Okay, so from here, all we're going to do is you're going to weave that yarn tail through the eye of the needle that you have, and then you're just going to be having that needle inserted between, sorry, not between, but through the front loops of the remaining stitches in your last round. So just those front loops only, by the way. So there's the second one, here's the third, here is the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th. Now for those that crochet in a spiral, you'll have 7 front loops to go through. For the rest of us, only 6. And then you will pull the yarn in a clockwise direction to close up that ending part right there. Okay, and then we're going to enter the needle through the middle or the center of where we closed it off, and then have your needle come through and pull just like that, and that gives you a flat head right there. Okay, so from here, can you see how these stitches, they kind of have this X shape in them? This is if you did yarn under, yarn over, or yarn under, yarn under. So you can see this sort of X shape on the diagonal, and this one comes over the top of this one. So what we're going to do is have our yarn come over the top of the one that is visible and make that diagonal as well. Then you'll come out anywhere else and you pull that yarn and you just let it lay over the top just like that. You don't have to pull super hard, but just enough to make it a seamless finish. And then you want to repeat this another maybe 3/4 times in total. So that's my second one right there. I'll come over here and begin to create my third. And let's do maybe one more just to secure this completely in place. Pull it through. Done. And then all we're going to do at this point is cut the yarn to finish it off, and then with your yarn needle you'll just push in the remaining excess if there is any. Okay, so we have completely now finished our body, as you can see here, and now let's get onto the collar. Alright, so for the collar, I want you to turn your plushie upside down, and can you see these front loops along here? These are the front loops technically of round number 11, because we went in the back loops of round number 11 whilst completing round number 12 over here. And where you can see on the right side, the first flesh pink front loop of round number 11, I want you to enter your hook through that. So we're going to enter our hook through this, and later on you'll enter your hook through the last front loop as well. So there'll be 2 in between that technically. So here's 1, here's 2, and then on the outsides of those, that's where you want your hook to be entered into. So I'll start off here, and I'm just going to grab my green colored yarn and pull it through with my hook, and then chain 1, pulling now that yarn tail, as you can see over here. And then I'm going to enter back into that same space, have the yarn tail on top of the hook as I complete a single crochet stitch, just like that. So now we've completed a single crochet stitch. We are going to chain 1, and then I want to come into those side kind of yarn strands of that single crochet stitch and make what is called a picot stitch. And this is just basically where you come through and then you make a slip stitch into the loop on the hook, just like that. And then from there you're going to enter straight back into that front loop, same front loop, and then you'll grab your yarn and just make a slip stitch into the loop on the hook. And there we go. Then you'll pull the yarn through that loop on the hook and cut your yarn around about so that you have maybe like a 10 centimeter yarn tail. And there is the first part of that collar. as you can see here. We're going to weave these yarn tails into the body and kind of stick this down later on as well if we need to. Probably not, we'll just put these in the body. But before we do that, let's make our same collar but on this side now. So we're going to enter our hook through that front loop, the one that I talked about before. Make sure you get through all of that. And then from there, you're going to grab your yarn tail, just like that. And then pull the yarn through the front loop. There we go. Now you're going to chain one, make a single crochet stitch, weaving in that yarn tail as you make that single crochet stitch. Oh no. So let's do it again. Or just me do it again. Here we go. From here, you're going to chain one, then come into the side portion of that single crochet stitch, and then make a slip stitch or a picot stitch, just like that. I'm just trying to get the yarn on the hook. And then you'll come straight back into that front loop again, and you'll just make a slip stitch onto the loop, on the hook, and then pull the yarn through. Leave yourselves about a 10 centimeter tail again. And then from here, we are going to weave these into the body now to hide. So let's do that now. So I'm just going to weave this yarn tail through somewhere in the head, pull it through, and then I'll do the exact same for this one as well. I'm kind of coming underneath here, and then I'll come into the same stitch space so I can tie these two yarn tails together later on. But I do want to make sure that this flap is not sticking up as well. So let's just see how it looks as I pull this through. And that actually looks fantastic. So I'm going to leave that as is. And then I'm going to tie these two together. I'll just show you for this first collar, and then you guys can repeat for the one on the opposite side. So tie together and then do that in a double knot. Pull a little bit harder on the second knot as well. Chop the yarn. And then push the yarn into the head to completely hide that as well. Getting there. So there we go. Give it a little bit of a wiggle as well. And there we go. So I just want you to repeat the exact same for the other side, and then you will have finished and completed the collar section. And there's the collar all finished there, as you can see. So now we are going to begin the hair. Okay, so we're up to the hair now, and I need you to get your bright pink colored yarn, and you'll start off by just making a magic ring. So there's our magic ring right there, and we're going to work 6 single crochet stitches inside this magic ring. So here's the second one, third, fourth, fifth, and here's number 6. Pull that yarn tail, as you guys are already aware because we did this for the body, and then come in the very first stitch space of the round and make a slip stitch and chain 1. For round number 2, we are just going to make increases in every stitch space, so you will have a total of 12 stitches after round number 2. And for round number 3, all it is you're going to start with a single crochet stitch followed by an increase, 1 and 2, and you're just going to repeat that another 5 times. At the end of this round number 3, you will have 18 stitches in the round, and just finish off with a slip stitch. So we finished off with a slip stitch, and now we are going to begin the hair strands. So we're actually going to start immediately chaining, and this is why I didn't get you to do that chain 1 after you finished the round number 3. So you're going to chain 4 here, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Start off in the second loop from the hook with a slip stitch, and for every single hair strand, that is what you're going to do. And then you've got a single crochet stitch next, followed by 1 more single crochet stitch. And then I want you to come into the next stitch of round number 3 and make a slip stitch, just like that. So that there is your first hair strand. Okay, so I want you to do the exact same thing again. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Start in the second loop from the hook, make a slip stitch, followed by 2 single crochet stitches, 1, and here's the second one. and then come into the very next stitch space of round 3, make a slip stitch, and then I want you to make another slip stitch in the next stitch space of round number 3. That's the only time we're going to make 2 slip stitches in a row. And from here I want you to chain 4, slip stitch, 2 single crochet stitches, and repeat another 2 times. So you have 2 here and 2 over here. So I'll let you guys complete those 2 right now. From here, so you've just finished those 2 hair strands there. This is where we began. 2 slip stitch, 2 hair strands, so that's the 4th hair strand right there. Right now we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then we'll start off with a slip stitch in the second loop from the hook, followed by 3 single crochet stitches. 1, 2, and here is number 3. And then you will make a slip stitch in the next stitch space of round number 3, and this time you are going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Slip stitch first in the second loop from the hook, always, and then make 4 single crochet stitches down the length of the hair chain. So that's 2, here's number 3, and here is number 4. Slip stitch in then the next stitch space of round number 3. This time you'll chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Slip stitch first in the second loop from the hook, followed by 5 single crochet stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now from here, you're going to slip stitch first in the next stitch space of round number 3. Make sure you do that well. And then from here, we're going to start chaining 8 for a number of hair strands. So I'll let you know just now. For the next 7 hair strands, you're going to chain 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Slip stitch in the very second loop from the hook, followed by 1 single crochet stitch, 2 single crochet stitches, 3 single crochet stitches, 4 single crochet stitches, 5, and 6. So again, I want you to repeat this hair strand another 6 times. So in total, you will have 7, chain 8 hair strands. So I'll let you guys do that and then we'll come back together. Okay, so we've just finished those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 chain 8 hair strands right there. From here, we're going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Second loop from the hook, make that slip stitch, followed by 1, 2, there should be 5, 3, 4, and 5, just like that. Come into the next stitch space of round number 3, and here we're going to chain 6 this time. You can see we're going backwards, we're mirroring the opposite side. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. This is our second last hair strand. Make a slip stitch in the second loop from the hook, followed by 4 single crochet stitches. 2, 3, and here's the 4th, just like that. Slip stitch in the last stitch space of round 3, followed by chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Slip stitch in the second loop from the hook, followed by 1, 2, and 3 single crochet stitches. And then I want you to come into the very first stitch space of round number 3, and this is where we're going to make a slip stitch. So hold on, let me just get in there first. So coming over here, making a slip stitch, and then we will pull the yarn through and cut around about a 40/50 centimeter piece of yarn, and that will be your yarn tail for sewing the hair to the head later. You can also chop off this middle section here if you'd like to, because it is fine, more than fine. Okay, so there we go. There is our hair piece all done. We're going to finish the beanie and then we'll start sewing everything together. And now we are going to start the beanie. So nothing is new so far. You're going to be making your magic ring in yellow colored yarn or autumn yellow. Magic ring is almost done. I don't know why I'm struggling with this one. There we go. Okay, so magic ring is done. And now, just as you normally have been doing, crochet or work 6 single crochet stitches inside this magic ring. So this is number 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then I'm going to close up this magic ring by pulling my yarn tail just like that. And I am going to be, now it's completely up to you here. If you're an advanced crocheter, and I would normally do this, you would continue on in a spiral, just so you can't see the slip stitch down here, but it is not that obvious anyway. So I'm going to work with the beginners, and we can do this with a slip stitch and chain 1. Now for round 2, it's just an increase round. You guys are very familiar with this. You'll have 12 stitches at the end of round number 2, so I'll let you guys do that now. And for round number 3, we are going to be making a single crochet stitch first, followed by an increase 1 and 2. And I want you to complete that another 5 times. You will have 18 stitches after round number 3. And we are now up to round number 4. Round 4 is still an increase round. You're going to make 2 single crochet stitches first, followed by an increase 1 and 2, just like that. So I want you to repeat that now another 5 times. You will have 24 stitches after round number 4. For the next 2 rounds, I just want you to crochet 24 single crochet stitches. So this is for rounds numbers 5 and 6. It's just 24 single crochet stitches, and we'll come back together to start round number 7. Alright, so for round number 7, super simple, but it is an increase round. You will start off with 3 single crochet stitches. Here's number 2, and here's number 3, followed by an increase 1 and 2. And in the same way, you will repeat this total 6 times, so another 5 times. You will have 30 stitches after round number 7. And now we are up to round number 8, and actually for the next 2 rounds, so that's round numbers 8 and 9, you will just be crocheting 30 stitches or 30 single crochet stitches. So again, that's rounds 8 and 9 with 30 single crochet stitches in each of those 2 rounds. And I'm at the end of round number 9 here, and I will just make my slip stitch in the first stitch of that round. I'm going to chain 1, and this time I'm going to turn my work around, so I'm working the opposite way now. So this here technically now is my front loop, the one that's closest to me, and the one at the back is the back loop. Now I'm going to be working in those back loops. So let me just get into the first one right here. So here's the back loop of my very first stitch. And before I do that, I'm going to be wrapping the yarn, coming into the back loop and making a double crochet stitch. So double crochet stitch is where you weave the yarn through 2 loops on the hook. So let's just do that again so I can show you a little bit better. Wrap the yarn, come into the back loop, pull up a yarn loop. So now you've got 3 loops on the hook technically. You want to pull the yarn through 2 loops on the hook, and then you'll pull the yarn through the remaining 2 loops on the hook, and that there is what you call a double crochet stitch. And you just want to repeat this all the way around. So in the back loops, remember, there we go. So wrap again in the back loop, double crochet stitch, and let's just keep going over and over until we have finished the entire round. As you can see, this is what we're looking like here from the front side. So I want you to complete all the way up until the end, and then we will slip stitch and pull the yarn through to finish off this final round. So I'm finished all of that, and then I'm going to enter my hook into the very first stitch space of my first double crochet stitch. I'll pull the yarn through and then just make a slip stitch, and then pull the yarn through again, leaving myself a good maybe 30 centimeters. I think I have a little bit more there, but that's okay. 30 centimeters worth of yarn, and I'm going to chop this tail as well because we don't want to see that. And then as you can see here, we have the final beanie look. Now it's up to you how you want to do this. You can push this up as well if you'd like to, but I'm just going to leave mine down, which is what I did for this one as well. Okay, so all the parts are done. Now let's just sew it all together. Okay, so as you can see, I have pinned the hair all the way around, just like that. And this is where I began, right? This was my first strand, second, third, and fourth. So you want those 4 hair strands to line up in this kind of the center of the forehead, with then that slip stitch. Remember how we did 2 slip stitches to leave a gap there? That will end up being in the center of those eyes. So if you can do that and then pin everything else, that would be great. And then what you want to do is with your yarn tail, you're going to start off like this. So you're going to have the yarn tail come into basically somewhere that's close to where you finished off. So we kind of finished off here, so I'm just going to enter here. And then for each pin that you've pinned, and this is why it's nice to pin, you're going to lift it up slightly, and then your yarn needle is going to come out where that pin was placed. And this is going to be the same for every single hair strand. And then what you want to do is you want to come up the side portion of that hair strand towards the base, take away the pin, pull the yarn through, and then come to the complete other side of that hair strand and then go straight back into that stitch space to finish it off. And then you will lift up the next pin, see where it ends up being, and have again your yarn needle coming through that stitch, then pulling this down, and then you're ready for the next hair strand. So you'll come up to the side of that hair strand, take out a pin, then you will pull your needle through that, come to the other side of that hair strand, have your needle go through that, and then back into that same stitch space, and then we are up to the next hair strand. And where that pin was, that's where the needle will come out, and you're just going to keep repeating this all the way across until you have sewn those hair strands all the way. So I'm going to get you guys to do that, and then once we get to this last one, I'll show you what to do for the crown of the head. So I have finished with all of those hair strands, sewing them on, and then what I've done with my last one, I've just come up right here. So like I literally just went right into that stitch space and came up here. And so all I'm going to do here is just kind of secure this front portion, or the crown of the head. I call this area the crown, and I'm going to do it around the side, just in a few different stitch spaces, if you will. So I'll even come up to the very top front center here as well, and then I'll just come into the side, and then I'll do one at the back too, just to secure that as much as I can in place before we finish up. So yarn will come over here, pull the yarn through, chop the yarn to finish, and there we go. So that is the hair now all complete for this plushie. Okay, so now we have to secure the beanie on as well. So I'm going to grab this beanie, and I'm going to have this portion towards the back, and then I'm going to leave it so that it's kind of coming across the head just like that. And then I'll grab a few pins. You don't need many pins, but we'll just pin it round about here, just like that. And then we'll come to the back as well, and we'll pin one over here, and then maybe one more just over here, just like that. Okay, so we've pinned that beanie to the top of the head, leaving some hair strands behind. It's kind of like on that diagonal, if you will. And then I'm going to grab this yarn tail, and I'm going to show you how to sew this beanie on. So here's my yarn tail. I left around about 30 centimeters worth, I would say. And we're just going to, so can you see how we ended up over here? You kind of want to go underneath this and just work it in between these stitches until you get to around about this base here before you started those double crochet stitches. And it's because we are going to start sewing, not everywhere, but where this lining is, so between this round and this round as well, all the way across. So we'll come in here, and then I might push it into the head a little bit, then come out, take away this pin, pull this up, and I'm just going to complete this process. So I'll keep going. So I'll come around here, go into the hair, make sure you're in the hair, and then come out as well, kind of roughly where the pin is, or you can come a little bit before. It's up to you how many stitches you kind of want to secure in place, if that makes sense. Come over here, pull this through. There we go, we're looking fantastic. And then I'll do the exact same over here as well. And this just secures that beanie in place. So, I mean, if you want it to be removable, absolutely go for it. There is no problem with that. And also, you could have the yarn. So what I'm going to say is, if you wanted to add a keychain or something, you could do so by adding it roughly around here, just where the center of that head is as well. So that kind of helps too. Okay, so I'm happy with that. I've secured this in place. I'm going to come out anywhere. It doesn't matter at this point because we have secured it so many times. So I'm coming here, this last one, and then I'm just going to chop the yarn over here and then remove the yarn and push this back into the beanie to hide it in place. Okay, so we have now finished with the beanie, the hair. It's nicely secured on there just like that. If you wanted to add some plush here, feel free to do that as well. But now we are going to just add the little bit of, remember this, just a little bit of kind of that decoration, because the shirt has some technically yellow and this peach pink, but you only need to do it in peach pink. But if you want to do more in yellow and other things like that, feel free to do that. I'll show you how to do this now. So I suggest here cutting yourselves about 1 meter or 100 centimeters worth of your pink yarn, and then I'm going to have you enter your needle through somewhere in the denim jeans, and then come to this section here, somewhere along this lining down here. There is no specific way of doing this, by the way, so we're kind of just eyeballing it, but I'll show you the technique to use. So you're going to have the needle come straight back here and then work your way kind of across these stitches. So look at this. Oh, whoops, I almost dropped all of these pins. Hold on, give me 1 second. And we're back. We almost had a dilemma there with our pins, but we are back on track. So I'm going to pull this through. And do you see that? So I've kind of made this first section here, and I'll have the yarn needle coming straight through that and then back into this base stitch where we began. And try not to get it weaved up in the yarn. So I'm going to pull that through now. And yes, it kind of does take a little bit of untangling just because we do have a meter worth of this yarn. And now what we will do is I'm going to come up. So I'm going to leave a little bit of a space here. And I can come over to this diagonal here in a larger portion. So you start in the base first again. And then you go up to where you want the yarn to go. So it will look like this. And just before you close that off, you'll have the needle going through. Just like that. And it just points it in the right direction. Come through that same top stitch space and then back into your base again. And then you just give it a pull. Do your best not to have it twisted and tangled. And then from there, well, technically I can go to this side now if I wanted to, so I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to come out here, pull the yarn through, have this aligned as best as I can so it's not twisted, pull the yarn through, and then have the yarn enter back into that stitch space. And that looks fantastic. You can even do another one down here if you really wanted to as well. But see that same type of pattern that we've done here? I want you to just repeat that in a few different spots or places on the shirt. And you can have these being smaller or larger depending on how you do this. So if I wanted to go to my next section here where I wanted to do it again, and maybe I'd start up here this time and go in the opposite direction, I could do that as well. So you can see I'm ready to begin my new section, which I'll just come maybe down here, pull this yarn through, take this yarn, stitch away, and then boom, that's my first one right there. And then I'm just going to keep doing this in a few different places on the shirt until I feel like it looks good. So I'll get you to do the exact same thing now as well, and then we'll come back together to see the final result. So there we go. I've done it a few times. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's probably enough. Doesn't have to be perfect, but of course you can keep going until you feel as though yours is looking fantastic. And now I just wove my yarn tail into that same stitch space as before, and then all I'm going to do as normal, this is what we've been doing a lot of times, is just tie this in a double knot to secure those yarn tails. Pull a little bit harder on that second knot as well, just to keep it nice and secure, and then with your yarn needle or your hook or whatever you have, push this excess and the knot inside your body to hide it in place. And there we go. We have just finished our Abby from the Saja Boys, as you can see here, which is fantastic. Add your keychains, add your plush, whatever you'd like to do there to absolutely finish this off. And guys, I hope you really enjoyed that one, and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks guys, bye.